Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, March 19th, 2026. I'm Joan McDonald, the chair of the New York State Bridge Authority. I will call the roll. Maria Bruni.
Present.
Lanny Gilbert.
Present.
Roger Higgins.
Present.
Freddie Garcia.
Present.
We have a quorum. Do I have a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Roger. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Lanny. All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting for today is open. It was noticed according to New York State Open Meetings and Public Officers Law. We will start with our employee recognition. So welcome, everybody. I will read the awards and each of you will come up individually, okay? First up, we have Caleb Morrow. Caleb, come on up. The New York State Bridge Authority proudly recognizes CCA Caleb Morrow for his exceptional professionalism and commitment to public safety. During a recent incident involving a downed aircraft near the Newburgh Beacon Bridge, Caleb quickly reviewed surveillance footage and provided timely, accurate information to support responding agencies, including the Office of Emergency Management, state and local police, and state fire. His efforts helped narrow the search area and supported a timely response. As one of our partners noted, Caleb was very helpful in providing accurate and timely information. It was a great demonstration of the partnership we are all working to build. Caleb's actions reflect outstanding interagency collaboration and bring great credit to himself and the authority. Caleb, thank you so much. Next up is Alyssa Ferguson. Alyssa, come on up.
No.
The New York State Bridge Authority recognizes CCA Alyssa Ferguson for her outstanding situational awareness during an incident on the Rip Van Winkle Bridge. After receiving an alert from the bridge's security monitoring system, Alyssa quickly identified concerning behavior and immediately notified the appropriate responders, helping ensure the individual was safely located. Shortly after, a similar alert at the Kingston-Rhinecliff Bridge appeared to involve the same individual. Alyssa promptly confirmed that the person had already been safely located and was in law enforcement custody, preventing an unnecessary response at the second location. Her vigilance and professionalism exemplify the critical role of the command center in protecting life and supporting coordinated public safety response. Thank you so much, Alyssa. And next, Carlos Argueta. Carlos. Good morning. The New York State Bridge Authority recognizes STB Carlos Argueta for his swift response during a potential person in crisis incident at the Rip Van Winkle Bridge. Carlos immediately responded, made contact with the individual, and safely escorted her off the bridge until law enforcement arrived. Although new to the role, Carlos handled the situation with exceptional composure and professionalism. His actions helped ensure the individual was brought to a safe location and contributed to a positive, potentially life-saving outcome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Carlos.
Carlos, do you want to take a picture?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh,
She's new to this whole thing.
okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and listen to the auditor's report. However, if you want to go back to your responsibilities, you're welcome to do that as well. Thank you so much. Okay, at this point, we will pause the regular board meeting to have a meeting of the committee on the whole, which Roger Higgins is going to chair. Roger, take it away.
Okey-dokey.
So this is a joint committee of the Audit Committee and the Finance Committee called the Committee of the Whole. And we have several items to review. Do we need to take attendance, Counselor, since attendance has already been taken?
Yes, because that way,
Okay,
make
so-
sure we have a quorum.
So let's take attendance. We know Commissioner Berardi is absent. Commissioner Bruni,
Here.
Commissioner Gilbert,
Here.
Commissioner McDonald,
Here.
Commissioner Garcia.
Here.
Here, and Commissioner Higgins is here. So our first order of business is to adopt the minutes of the December 2025 Audit Committee meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion or corrections to be made in minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the minutes of the Audit Committee are passed. Now we have adoption of the minutes of the December 2025 Finance Committee. Is there a motion?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or any corrections to be made? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, minutes are approved. So our first item of business is to hear from our auditor. Brian, you want to introduce and
Very good. Good morning. Thank you. Our auditor, EFPR Group, has conducted their audit for the year and included in your package, as well as I've left the bound copies on the table for you, with Jennifer's help, of course, to go and receive the annual report itself. We completed it this year. We didn't have some of the issues we had last year, and as a result of that, obviously I want to defer and allow Dave Greck to speak so that he can go through the required disclosures and discussions that he needs to do in order to issue the report. So good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Brian. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. I appreciate the time. I will present the results of our audit for the year ended December 31st, 2025. We conducted and planned our audit through the January and February of this year. We came on site to the authorities' offices during the week of February 16th to perform our detailed testing and review records. Overall, we are happy to report that we will be expressing or have expressed a clean, unmodified opinion on the financial statements. So that is an unmodified opinion with no qualifications or any other further discussions or disclosures of any items. It's the best that we can give to you. We did not identify any material weaknesses in internal controls, so there's no internal control findings that need to be discussed. And also included in the packet along with those reports, we also issued a clean report on the authority's investment compliance in accordance with the New York State investment guidelines. In terms of considering the financial results included in the financial statements, cash increased by approximately $2.2 million during the year to $11.1 million. The significant sources and uses were as follows. Cash of $37.8 million was provided by operating activities from running the business. $8 million was used by financing activities, primarily for purchases of capital assets, as well as principal and interest payments on bonds. $27.6 million was used by investing activities. That was primarily $34.5 million used to purchase investments, which was offset by $6.9 million in earnings on those investments. So then, speaking of investments, the total overall balance increased by $34.9 million during the year based on those purchases and gains. The details of investments, if you're looking for any further details, are included in footnote 4 to the financial statements. Additionally, on the asset side, the lease asset and the related deferred inflows of $3.8 million increased this year related to 3 new leases. There's further detail on the organization's leases included in footnote 6. The capital assets, net of accumulated depreciation, decreased $1.6 million to $11.6 million overall due to depreciation expense of $2.5 million offset by additions of $900,000. There is further detail provided for all of the capital assets in footnote 7 to the financial statements. Additionally, the bridge system assets remained consistent at $84.4 million as the bridge conditions were all rated at 5 condition or better and are therefore exempt from depreciation. Those are disclosed in footnote 8 to the financial statements. Also, right next to assets, we have the deferred outflows. The deferred outflows of resources related to pensions decreased $1 million to $3.5 million. That amount is provided by the actuarial valuation reports for the New York State Employee Retirement System annually. Further details of the pension are included in footnote 10. Similarly, deferred outflows of resources related to other post-employment benefits, your OPEB liability, amounted to $8.4 million. As we'll further discuss momentarily, there are OPEB liabilities overall of $79.5 million and deferred inflows of $13.4. And again, those amounts are provided by independent actuaries and are greatly impacted by changes in interest rates, discount rates, healthcare cost trend rates, which are all factored into their calculations. Moving on to the liabilities and deferred inflows, accounts payable increased $9 million, increased to $9 million from $7.3 million last year. Contracts payable increased to $2.7 million, and those are based on the timing of payments as well as the contract status at year end. As I just mentioned, the OPEB liability increased to $79.5 million from $74 million in the prior year. That is disclosed further in footnote 11. The bond indebtedness decreased to $130 million this year from almost $135 million in the prior year, which is due to scheduled repayments in the current year. Again, more detail on that amount is included in footnote 9. The net pension liability increased to $5.8 million from $4.8 million last year, and the deferred inflow decreased to $0.5 million. Again, those changes are a result of the changes in the market value of investments in the funds in which the plan is invested, and those numbers are provided by the New York State ERS actuarial valuation reports. So then after our assets, liabilities, and the deferred amounts, the net position of the organization was $62.6 million compared to $15.5 million last year. That increase is due to the bottom line net income, if you will, your net change in position of $47 million, of which a significant portion was related to decreased rehabilitation, reconstruction, and bridge repair expenses during the year. Overall, toll revenue was very consistent with the prior year. Toll revenue amounted to $82.3 million compared to $82.5 million in the prior year. There were traffic increases, but those increases were offset by delays in billing processes caused by the newly implemented computer system at the New York E-ZPass Customer Service Care Center, which provides back office services. Brian walked me through that process in detail and discussed some of the issues that the customer service center was having as he determined the final revenue number during the year. Overall, operating expenses decreased to $41 million this year from $58.7 million in the prior year, and most of that decrease in expense was due to delays in rehabilitation, reconstruction, and bridge repair costs in working with contractors for planned work at the Mid-Hudson Bridge. And so then in terms of revenue less expenses, the change in net position during the year was $47 million as disclosed above. So then overall, in terms of our required communications to the board, to those charged with governance, the accounting policies are described in footnote 2 to the financial statements. We noted no unusual policies or policies for which there was a lack of guidance. All significant estimates were evaluated and considered appropriate, with the most sensitive estimates being the collectability of accounts receivable, the pension and OPEB amounts, and the bridge system condition assessments. There were no material uncorrected misstatements detected by our audit procedures. And we're also happy to report that we had no difficulties in performing our audit. Certainly, Brian is one of my favorite clients to work with. Brian does a fantastic job taking care of the authority's books. So we've had no concerns throughout our audit process about any of the items discussed today. And with that, my side of the presentation is concluded. Are there any questions on the financial statements?
Okay, I think we're all set, Dave. Thank you very much. And
Great.
we won't keep you for the remainder of this as we go through some statutory reporting issues, and we'll be in touch. Okay,
Great. Thank you so much, Brian.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this time, because it's really the auditor's report and opinion, we ask the committee of the whole to go and accept the report from the auditor and do so by motion.
Okay, thank you. Item 3 is the annual report. Is there a motion to accept auditor's annual report?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The auditor's report is passed. Number 4 and 5 are both items to be referred to the board for further action this morning. Item 4 is the report required by section 2800 Public Authorities Law. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All abstentions, I'm sorry. Seeing none, that item is approved and we'll move to the full board for action later on this morning. Number 5 is the same, the annual investment report to be moved to the board later this morning. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved. Second? Second. Is there any discussion or any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Seeing none, that item is now moved for further action this morning by the board. And number 6, the internal control systems audit report. Brian?
Thank you. Similar to the financial statement audit, the authority in compliance with the Internal Control Act has an audit performed of our internal control systems where they review process flows. The auditor is Tronconi Cigar and Associates. They had performed their evaluation this year. There are 4 areas covered, specifically financial reporting, fixed assets, cash management, and investments, as well as toll collection of revenues. Toll collection of revenues is considered a critical process flow, clearly, because that's where we get all our money from. So that's done every year. The rest of them are done on a rotating cycle. We're happy to note that, again, this year, the auditor found no issues. We were in compliance with our own policies and they found no exceptions. So this, again, was a clean audit. We asked the committee of the whole to accept this report as well. We published on our website for public inspection.
Okay, fine. So as we did previously, is there a motion to accept the auditor's report? Moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Any discussion or questions for Brian? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The auditor's report passes. Moving on, is there any other business to come before the committee of the whole today? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Moved, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair?
Who seconded?
Thank you so much. The committee of the whole has adjourned and we will now proceed with the regular board meeting agenda, of which we already called the roll and we have a quorum. Chris, are there any public comments?
Not today.
Okay. Next up is to adopt the regular meeting minutes of February 19th, 2026. Any comments by any of the board members? Okay, do I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Roger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lanny. I'll call the vote. Maria Bruni.
Abstaining, I was absent.
Okay. Lanny Gilbert.
Aye.
Roger Higgins, Freddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative. The meeting minutes are approved. Turn it over to our director.
Thank you.
Minoshka, your reports.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Good morning, commissioners and everyone. For internal affairs, union negotiations for the CSEA contract began this month, led by our negotiation counsel, Vincent Toomey. In terms of community engagement, our Transportation for Life virtual summit on secondhand trauma was held on March 5th with 277 registrants and 179 individuals attending from more than 30 state agencies. We were also fortunate to have 28 panelists and speakers from our agency partners, as well as outside of state government, share their insights and expertise. We have received a great deal of positive feedback from participants and are continuing to collect responses. As next step, we will be formalizing key themes, ideas, and action items from the summit to share with our state agency partners. We will also be identifying best practices and areas for improvement within NYSBA. One of the key takeaways from the summit was that secondhand trauma was not unique to any one agency. Rather, it is a challenge faced across many areas of public service and one where there is significant opportunity for collaboration, learning, and action. We would also like to thank our partners at the New York State Office of Mental Health, whose longstanding partnership with the Bridge Authority made the summit and the first one a reality. In terms of collaborations, on March 11, we hosted colleagues from the New York State Thruway Authority to discuss their unmanned aerial system program, which uses drones to inspect bridges and other infrastructure, enhancing inspection efficiencies and capabilities. Through grant funds received by NYSBA may have the opportunity to receive a portion of those funds to adopt a similar program. During the visit, key members of our team discussed potential next steps and observed the drone equipment in operation at the Mid-Hudson Bridge. Very excited about this program. On March 6th, we also hosted the Vice President, Mark Moriello from IBTTA, the International Bridge, Tunnel and Turnpike Association, who presented to NYSBA team an overview of ongoing federal rulemaking related to a request from the company NextNav. Their request would reconfigure the 902 to 928 megahertz band, which is currently used for industrial, critical infrastructure, and consumer communication, and adopt new rules to enable deployment of a 5G terrestrial positioning, navigation, and timing network to serve as a backup to the U.S. global positioning system. IBTTA and tolling authorities across the country are actively engaged in this process to understand and advocate regarding potential impacts on tolling systems. In terms of public outreach and media, on February 25, I delivered a virtual presentation on the governor's budget to the United Way of Broome County and other nonprofit organizations from the region. From time to time, cabinet members are asked to participate in presentations like these, and it was a valuable opportunity to connect with and learn from another region of the state. On March 10, I also gave another virtual budget roadshow presentation to members of the Hispanic community in Westchester County. The presentation included an overview of the Bear Mountain Bridge deck replacement project, a special thanks to Neighbors League for their interest in the event, as well as to the governor's regional team, who helped conduct outreach to the local Hispanic community. On March 2nd, Chris, Steve, and I were guests at the Boring Show on 101.5 WPDH, where we discussed upcoming NYSBA projects on the Mid-Hudson and the Bear Mountain bridges. In addition, Public Information Officer Chris Stever recently recorded an audio interview for the locally based podcast serial hosted by Matt Tucker. This podcast was launched in 2018 to introduce visitors and Hudson Valley newcomers to the people and places that make this region special. Chris and Matt discussed the work of the authority and the history of the bridges that we maintain. On March 10, representatives from several departments visited the New Kingston campus of Ulster Buses to learn more about the programs and explore opportunities for collaboration. In February, our team also attended the Dutchess County Skilled Trades Fair at Arlington High School. This annual event is presented by the Dutchess County government in partnership with local school districts and features dozens of companies and organizations representing career paths that do not require a bachelor's degree. A variety of industries were represented to include construction trades, manufacturing, cosmetology, and this is to expose local residents, particularly high school students, to alternate career paths. A special thanks to the Arlington students who welcome guests and help the fair run smoothly. On March 12, NYSBA also had a booth at the Hudson Valley Job Fair organized by the Dutchess County Regional Chamber of Commerce in partnership with DC Works and the Dutchess County Workforce Investment Board. The event, held at the Poughkeepsie Galleria, allowed participants to connect with local employers. The first hours were reserved for senior citizens, veterans, and individuals living with disabilities. In terms of infrastructure projects, following the contract award last month of the peer protection and bridge safety, we are moving into the design of a system-wide emergency bridge closure system that would allow NYSBA's command center to remotely close bridges, alert motorists, and protect the public in the event of a vessel strike or similar emergency. Additionally, Majestic Masters are finalizing their peer protection study, which was expanded to include all authority bridges with piers located in the world. In terms of the Bear Mountain Bridge deck, the contract is currently being executed, and we are working on the scheduled kickoff meeting with the contractor as soon as possible. The project award was announced in the governor's press release at the end of February. We will continue keeping the public informed about the project through our website and the social media. As widely reported in the media, a small engine plane made an emergency landing in the Hudson River after nightfall on March 2nd. Because the incident occurred just south of the Newberg Beacon Bridge, NYSBA's command center was contacted by several first responder agencies and asked to monitor the river using bridge cameras. Command center operators monitor the area for situational awareness while the response unfolded. Although the cameras were unable to detect the aircraft, the situation illustrates how critical NYSBA security systems are to the broader emergency response community in our region. In 2025, we participated in a tabletop exercise hosted by Orange County Emergency Management that simulated a coordinated response to a potential aircraft into the bridge. So this was great because our first responders, including law enforcement, medical teams, and fire department, had previously worked together to clarify roles and improve communication in case an accident similar to this one took place. So when this happened, we were able to quickly come together and be prepared for interagency collaboration as we had already collaborated in a similar exercise. In terms of travel and conferences, our chief engineer, Eric Foster, participated in the ACC conference speaking about our capital plan. I participated the same day as a panelist in the most significant infrastructure projects summit in Manhattan, presented by City and State New York. This panel, titled Advancing New York's Transportation Future, Mobility, Access, and Opportunity, focused on key infrastructure initiatives to strengthen transportation access. In addition, I have approved travel for Danielle Mass, Mark Fortin, and Sheena Fitzpatrick to participate with the MTA in our quarterly MTA NYSBA Knowledge Share. On March 17 to 19, Seth Darley will be completing a bridge inspection refresher course in Monroe, New York. A contract has been approved to come in front of the board related to the Mid-Hudson East Approach additional design work. And in terms of finance, our traffic in the month of February total 4.4 million vehicle crossings, an increase of 34,000 vehicles or 0.77% as compared to last year. The utilization of Easy Pass during this month was 1.95 million vehicles, representing about 89% of all traffic. And this traffic consisted of 91.88% passenger vehicles and 8.12 commercial vehicles. In terms of revenue for the month of January, we received $6.5 million, of which 80% was Easy Pass, 6% tolls by mail, 14% fines and fees. And that was all for the revenue distribution. In terms of activities to report to the board, I didn't have any activities to report. Thank you so much.
Questions from the board members? Okay, thank you so much, Minoshka. Next up, administration, Frank.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Pursuant to our own prompt payment policy and 2880 of the Public Authorities Law, we are required annually to complete a prompt payment report, which is attached in your packet. The categories that they're looking for are procurement, engineering, personal services, other personal service, and construction contracts. As you see, the report reflects that we've had no late payments made in 2025. With the board's approval, that this report will be uploaded into the Public Authorities Reporting Information System, better known as PARIS, and copies will be mailed to the chair of the State Senate Finance Committee and the chair of the Assembly Ways and Means Committee.
Thank you, Frank. Any questions from the board? Do I have a motion to approve and adopt the report?
So,
Thank you, Roger. Second.
second.
Thank you, Lanny. I'll call the vote. Maria Bruni.
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert.
Aye.
Roger Higgins.
Aye.
Freddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative. The report is approved and adopted. Next up, Frank.
Thank you. The second item I have contains two resolutions with it. Public Authorities Law and the authority's guidelines for establishing standards for the use, award, monitoring, and recording of procurement contracts require that an annual report detailing information on expenditures and contracts over $5,000 entered into during 2025 and ongoing from previous years be completed and submitted. The report is contained in your packet. Additionally, the board must review and adopt the authority's guidelines for establishing standards for the use, award, monitoring, and reporting of procurement contracts on an annual basis. Those are also contained within your packet. Upon approval of those two resolutions, we will upload them into the PARIS system with copies being mailed to the Commissioner of the Department of Economic Development, the Chair of the State Senate Finance Committee, and the Chair of the Assembly Ways and Means Committee.
Questions, comments from the board?
I'm assuming there's no change in what the guidelines were last year.
No, the only thing that changed in there whatsoever is we've updated the policy, our internal policy, and in it, the item changed, where it's located. It's located now in 12.1.
Great, thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Lanny and Roger. I'll call the vote. Maria Bruni.
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert.
Aye.
Roger Higgins.
Aye.
Freddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative.
Just to be clear, we're voting on one of both.
Both. We're voting on both. Just one vote. Okay. Does anybody have one of the votes that they would rather not? Okay, we're good. Thank you, Frank. Next up, engineering and maintenance, Eric.
Good morning, members of the board. I have 4 items for your consideration today. All in this for today would be related to the Mid-Hudson Bridge facility. The first item up is request for procurement for the replacement of dehumidifier system for the Mid-Hudson Bridge West Anchorage. The existing unit is more than 25 years old and has reached its useful life. So we did advertise for a procurement and we received two bids. The apparent low bidder is LJ Early at a cost not to exceed $83,000. This procurement is for the equipment only. The installation will be performed with in-house maintenance staff, supported by our standby contractor. I am requesting that the board approve this critical equipment that we.
Questions, comments from the board? Do I have a motion? Thank you, Roger. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Freddie. I'll call the vote. Maria Bruni,
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert.
Aye, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Roger Higgins,
Aye.
Freddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative. The resolution is approved and adopted. Eric?
Second item up, I'm requesting approval for a supplemental agreement with GPI, who is the designer for the East Approach Bridge. And the supplement is for expanded design and construction support services for the project. The original agreement reached its max pay due to significant scope expansion that resulted from revised design scope and some condition assessment that we were able to do during construction with exposed areas that weren't visible during the design phase. The design requires additional structural repairs, and the concept was changed somewhat from the original scope because we're doing infill now, which resulted in a better long-term cost benefit maintenance for us. So this supplemental agreement covers all those work, extra and additional work, and I'm putting that to the board for approval. The cost that we negotiated with GPI is $373,000. We find that to be reasonable. We reviewed it. We had discussions with them, and that's a reasonable cost.
Questions, comments from the board? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Maria. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Lanny. Maria Bruni,
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert,
Aye.
Roger Higgins,
Aye.
Freddie Garcia,
Aye.
and I vote in the affirmative. The resolution is approved and adopted. Eric?
The third item is somewhat related to the previous item. It is a request now for the contractor, Michaels, to incorporate the additional work that we've determined in span A. That work originally was deferred while we were evaluating an alternate use for the space, but we've since determined that that's not a feasible use. And because we have the contractor on site now, it's a cost benefit to us, because if we were to incorporate a independent design for that space, it would be $5 million. But we negotiated the additional work with the existing contractor at a cost of $2,242,699. And the engineering team negotiated a 15% reduction from their original estimate. So I think we should jump on it and get it done. So I'm putting that to the board for approval.
And Michaels is performing well.
And Michaels is performing well. I'll be showing you some photographs in the job progress
Okay.
on this particular project.
Okay, other questions, comments from the board? Do I have a motion?
So
Thank you, Roger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Freddie. I'll call the vote. Maria Bruni,
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert,
Aye.
Roger Higgins,
Aye.
Freddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative. The resolution is approved and adopted. Eric?
The final item concerns an emergency repair that was performed by Verdi Electric on January 25. Our staff found a utility pole on the property that was damaged, I think from the high winds. It was broken approximately 2 feet above ground level, and it was leading towards, not towards our property, but it was leaning towards a complex behind us, but it created a fire hazard. And we did contact Central Hudson to disconnect the power, and we thought it was their pole, but they indicated that it's not their pole, it's the authority's pole. So we immediately contacted Verde Electric, who we have as part of the East Approach project. So it was just convenient to have them on site. And we negotiated time and materials aspect of doing the work, and they completed the work, made the property safe, and the cost of the total cost of the repair was $17,965.15, and I think we got a good deal, but compared to the potential hazard that it presented, and I'm putting this to the board for approval.
Questions?
Just to comment, when I read that, I was surprised in a good way at how quick everybody responded. You know, when you have that kind of emergency, folks have to drop what you're doing and address that. And to turn that around in such a short time, I was really shocked, but happy to hear it. So congratulations to everybody that was involved in that project.
Thank you. I'll send them the comment.
Ready?
And the reason this comes to the board is because it's over 15.
Correct, right?
Even if it's an emergency, still.
It's after the fact if it's an emergency, but
But it's
yes,
still has
we always, as confirmation, bring it to the board. We have a policy that we'll mention later on that we don't start a check unless we have board resolution that supports it. It's in excess, it's 15,000 and more.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Maria Bruni,
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert,
Aye.
Roger Higgins,
Aye.
Freddie Garcia, and I vote in the affirmative. It is approved and adopted. Eric, monthly jobs in progress.
Jobs in progress, Julie. So for this is the Mid Hudson East Approach Bridge. And Michael's Construction is doing the work. What you see highlighted here in red are the infill portions of the viaduct, the original section of the East Approach. There are certain sections that were on viaduct, and later it was widened, but the original part was on viaduct. So everything you see here in red is what's going to be filled with lightweight concrete. Over time, it will not be a structure that will be supported and great, and it reduces your long-term maintenance over time. So again, that's just a section of what it looks like. So these are the internal viaduct sections. We used to use this as storage for some of our maintenance materials, but we cleaned it all out, and it's gonna be infilled with lightweight material. You can see some construction activity that's going on where we excavated here for a foundation wall. They poured the foundation. We're gonna be building up a wall for certain section because we have the anchorage here. That section will not be infilled, so we still have to leave those open. In this picture here, we see the formwork, and we will be pouring the concrete later. Here, we used to be the access. We sealed that up for when we're pouring the concrete. This unit that you see here is what's called a cattle path. So we still maintain access across the structure for any future need. So we'll be filling around that, but we maintain access across the structure by installing this cattle path. Here you see they're doing a core hole through the walls, and they're starting to pump the infill material within the vaulted areas. And this is kind of the unit that mixes the concrete on site, and they're pumping the infill concrete in. Going to the paint, I'm showing you the paint containment areas. This is how the structure looked, and what they did, they fully enclosed it. So when they were doing the sandblasting to remove the paint material, it would all be contained. Here is a highly equipment activities. It does create a lot of activities because this is the blasting unit. It introduces air into the system to contain the negative pressure because you don't want any particles to go outside. And this is we're 90% completed on the painting, and this is kind of what the finished product looks like. Within the vaulted areas, again, we used to have it as storage, but we also used to have it as our electrical room. So all these electrical units have been relocated. We've taken the units out and we've put them on the outside in a separate electric building. And that's the unit that all the connections. And this unit is now active. We've since turned it on.
And that will be permanent.
That will be permanent. And then this is how the new, it's a little neater because in the original, we were just adapting systems as they were going along. So you see, we had a lot of panels. In the unit now itself, we don't need that many panels because now we know what the system is. And and the next step would be doing demolition on the deck to put in the precast panels. And as for safety operations, they have to shield below the deck. So we have no debris. And that's kind of the next step that we're looking forward to in the next coming weeks. That ends the presentation for jobs in progress for the Mid-Hudson Bridge. You could pick that up. For the Bear Mountain Bridge, we're looking to have a get start meeting with the contractor. We put some dates out for the first week of April, so we're trying to get that all coordinated with the contractor. And with the Mid-Hudson Valley Bridge contractors, they're our standby contractors. They're doing some work right now at the Rip Van Winkle Bridge, and they're on board, prepared to help us for anything that comes up in the 2026 inspection cycle. And we're satisfied with them. They do good work. That ends my jobs in progress.
That was very helpful, the update, and, I think it would be great if you do regular
Yeah,
updates like that.
I kind of realized that.
And, for the Bear Mountain,
Yeah.
you've got some big
sure
projects, yeah?
I'll definitely even give you some of the smaller jobs that they.
Yeah, it's very helpful, and I think the visual brings it home very clearly.
Well,
Thank
that
you.
work doesn't affect where the troll lives under.
We haven't evicted anyone.
You have a smaller space.
They're going into the equipment
Yeah,
room.
now they're gonna have to leave the express.
Do I have a motion to approve and adopt the jobs in progress?
So moved.
Thank you, Lanny. Second. Oh, thanks, Freddie. Maria Bruni,
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert,
Aye.
Roger Higgins,
Aye.
Freddie Garcia,
Aye.
and I vote in the affirmative. The jobs in progress monthly report is adopted. Ryan, financial.
Okay, first up is the monthly investment report. There were 8 investments, all basically routine. Maintenance reserve fund stands at a balance of $104,200,000. Interest income and yield dropped from December to January, as is typical because we make the bond payment. We basically pay 1/12 every month of the year. We build up the investment at the end of the year. We pay $7 million, so funds available to invest declines. In addition to that, obviously, we've seen some reduction in prevailing market rates of interest.
Do I have a motion to approve and adopt?
So moved.
Thank you, Roger. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Maria. Maria Bruni,
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert,
Aye.
Roger Higgins,
Aye.
Freddie Garcia,
Aye.
and I vote in the affirmative, approved and adopted.
Okay, next up is the annual report required by section 2800. So public authorities law requires us to provide certain information. Just to note, a lot of the policies in here are required to be reviewed and adopted by the board annually. So as we put them in here, it's not to try to make you read, it's just so that we give you the opportunity to go and review and adopt it. This report is provided in the Paris system, as Frank indicated previously. This particular one is provided through the Paris system to the governor and the comptroller, but it's also provided to the ranking for the chairs of the Senate Finance and Assembly Ways and Means, as well as the ranking minority members. In addition, we also post it on our website. This report includes a report on operations accomplishments and projects undertaken, a summary of the financial statements, excluding all of the notes that you would see in the full annual report, a schedule of debt issuance. We didn't issue any this year. A compensation schedule for those employees earning more than $100,000 or with a salary of more than $100,000 per year. A property report. The bridge system is in good shape. We're not selling or getting rid of any property this year. In addition to that, an internal control statement as to what our policy is, as well as a certification by the executive director and myself. Additionally, some other items that we have in here that are required under public authorities law. The authority's mission statement and performance measures, a report on the authority's measurements and how we were reviewed or graded or evaluated under those measurements for this year. We met all the requirements. The bridges were maintained at a 5 level. The debt service coverage level, we greatly exceeded what the 1.75 requirement was. It was in excess of 7. The code of ethics, which we're obligated to go and again, just review and approve every year, as well as our lobby and contact policy, which currently that includes our project sunlight policy. Okay, these items will be forwarded out. We bring them to the board for their approval before we forward them on to the respective parties.
Any additional questions or comments from the board? We have a motion.
So
Thank you, Lanny. Thank you, Roger. Maria Bruni.
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert.
Aye.
Roger Higgins. Freddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative. The resolution or the report approved and adopted.
okay, next up is same principle. It's the annual investment report. There's a separate requirement that the auditor perform a specific audit associated with investments to prove that we're complying with all guidelines, our own as well as the state. A copy of those guidelines is also included in this report, again by resolution, of course, proving investment income and yield or investment income record for the year. We had a pretty good year. We made $6.9 million in investments, and that really, it was kind of an increase in funds available to invest, offset somewhat by decreases in prevailing market rates.
Okay. Questions, comments? Do I have a motion? Thank you, Roger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Lanny. Maria Bruni.
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert.
Aye.
Roger Higgins.
Aye.
Freddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative. It's approved and adopted.
Okay, the next up is the 2025 annual real and personal property disposal reports, disposal guidelines. This one's a little bit different. It's basically we're forwarding this again through Paris, but as well as we're providing it to the head of OGS, the comptroller, Napoli, as well as again the chairs of Assembly Ways and Means and Senate Finance. This includes guidelines and procedures for disposal of personal property. Again, it names me as contracting officer. There's really no change to the policy this year. The real property report, which is also included in 2800, which I spoke about earlier. So there are really no significant items to note there. Lastly is the disposal report for 2025, and it's a no report. We had no disposals for assets in excess of $5,000.
Questions, comments? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thanks, Maria. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Lanny. Maria Bruni.
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert.
Aye.
Roger Higgins.
Aye.
Freddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative. The report is approved and adopted.
Okay, this next item is procedural, and Commissioner Garcia, I'm glad you asked the question before, because now it better explains what we're doing. However, I am not infallible, and I made a typo on the resolution, so I am passing these around if you would. So basically, we had an issue, not an issue, there was a mistake made. We received funds, and because we're going to pay them out via check, the funds received were a mistake. Okay, from our internal processes, any check that goes out the door, 15,000 or above, we get a board resolution. This was kind of an anomaly. Didn't see any reason to make an exception to that rule for this. We would not do so anyway. So I'm asking the board to just review and approve this. We're returning funds to an Easy Pass counterpart who sent us funds. All right. The only difference between the resolution you have in your hand and the board package was I identified the wrong state. It's by mistake and I should have caught it.
Okay, that's okay. Questions, comments? Do I have a motion?
So,
Thank you, Roger. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Lanny. Maria Bruni.
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert.
Aye.
Roger Higgins.
Aye.
Freddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative. The resolution is approved and adopted.
okay. Next up, or actually last up, this item is only for information purposes. It's no board approval is required. This is going to be the last item that I bring up to discuss financial information for the year 2025. Going forward, it's all 2026. Okay, so just as a high-level rundown, traffic overall increased 1.39%. Commercial traffic was very good. It increased 19%. Okay, we looked into that. Probably prevailing economic conditions and certain changes in traffic flow. We attribute some of that to there are a number of distribution centers that opened in the East Fishkill area over the last couple of years, a big Stellantis facility, as well as the Amazon facility ran for the full year. We had a decrease in revenue of 0.25% associated with billing delays that the auditor described before. We're still working on those. That really relates to the New York Customer Service Center system implementation that took place during the year. We continue to go and do well in investments. We increased 471,000 year over year to 6.9 million. Miscellaneous receipts increased 183,000 to 1.2 million. That's the result of fiber leasing activity. We had a couple leases roll over at higher rates of lease payments for the year, as well as we had three more leases for the year, again, as noted by the auditor. Change in fair market value of investments, that's really, it's a book-only entry of $374,000. It increased, but we retain all investments until maturity. We do not sell them prematurely. We try to plan accordingly so that we don't have to do that. We don't have to incur any fees. In terms of operating expenses, we budgeted 47.2 million. That was back before, the OPEB items. The OPEB items OPEB and GASB 68, which is retirement. The changes associated with the present value computations of the actuaries continue to cause our operating expenses to fluctuate wildly. They're largely contingent upon changes of things like interest rates, which drive discount rates, if you will. Our big variances for the year relative to the $29.2 million really were in the GASB 68, so pension, GASB 75, which is OPEB. In terms of what the authority routinely refers to as real cash expenditures or outflows, we were a little bit off, not excessively. We had 510,000 year over year. We increased in salaries. Most of that is associated with contractually obligated wage and salary increases. Additionally, obviously from year to year, it was 1.9 million. The budget changed over time as interest dropped. Electronic toll costs decreased 1.7 million. That really has to do with a change in the contract. Under the new contract, when the new system went live in April, the cost per transaction did drop. We did not have invoices for the full year. We received estimates from the throughway from April 1st, 25 through December 31, and those were used for audit purposes. The three invoices that we've received to date have all been favorable variances to those, but those really only run through June. We'll see how the estimates hold up for the rest of the year. The last item that really was a material difference was depreciation, and this is a material difference to prior year. This relates to the toll system that when we bought it we implemented it in the years 21, 22. We look at the 3-year equipment of computer systems. So any computers, we only expect it to have a 3-year useful life. Sometimes literal life that we leave it in place for 3 to 5, but we depreciate things on a 3-year basis. The bulk of that investment completed depreciation last year, and that's why depreciation declined by $16,000. The last item on here to note is the authority's capital plan. The original budget was 41.5 million. We revised it further down to 16.9 million. As of year end, we spent 11.8 million. To just kind of note the big difference, the 41 million down to the 16.8, related primarily to some delays in the contracting and commencing construction with the Mid-Hudson Bridge east of Gross, which Eric had gone and just presented the progress on that project. Now, we originally expected 19 million and we only came in about 2 or 3 million. Major construction we expect to continue in the current year. The rest of the items, many of them were smaller, either designed in advance of other projects, as well as some items on what we refer to as ITS or intelligent transportation systems and security activities or improvements, if you will, we expect those to trend into 2026. So that's kind of the overview. As I stated before, there's no requirement for the board to approve this. This is just for information purposes, so everybody understands how we ended 2025. I speak too much, I speak too fast. Are there any questions?
I have one question. There are discussions right now between the legislature and the governor on some changes to tier 6. So I know we approved our 2026 budget, but I don't know if you've had any discussions with the budget division or how that may play out, but I just want to make sure that we're mindful of that and we are watching it.
We're aware of it.
Okay.
I will note that, in the last few years, the tier 6 salary base is now the largest category. Okay, so the payment rate for the pension for tier 6 is substantially lower. If it were to rise to the levels of tiers 4 and 5, it will be noticeable. Okay, we're watching it. Obviously, with any other legislation that's pending, well, the best we can do is watch it.
Make sure everybody was aware of it.
What is the major change?
They're in negotiations. I think part of it is the retirement age, because tier 4 and 5 retire at 55, 2 years of service.
With
Tier
30
6,
years.
tier 6 at 63.
Okay.
So that is, I think, a significant change. So and I think what everybody is watching is, it's one thing to, if the changes are made and it's new employees going forward, it's the big, there's that, but the big hit could be anybody who joined from 2012 when it became effective to today, and how that has to be accommodated.
NYSBA had a huge rally.
Yes,
in all the
yeah.
April Sundays ago.
Yep.
And I think NYSBA's big concern is recruiting teachers and then keeping teachers employed once they get, because there is a pretty wide discrepancy.
Yeah.
Maybe they could relook at tier 3.
I
There was a defect in tier 3 became non-contributory after, but there were people in tier 3, I'm one of them, who contributed for 15 years. And then it became non-contributory and they didn't give us any.
They better check 4 too.
I'll treat everyone.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Next up, IT, Mark.
So I have a couple items to bring before the board. The first is our renewal of the city log software that the command center uses to identify and alert operators of events on the bridges. In 2021, city log was merged with Census Network. Census Network is a sole source for the renewal. So we're going to the board for a renewal amount of $18,128, which is a $528 increase from last year.
Questions, comments from the board? Do I have a motion?
So
Thank you, Roger. Second.
Second.
Thanks, Lanny. Maria Bruni.
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert.
Aye.
Roger Higgins.
Aye.
Freddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I vote in the affirmative. It is approved and adopted.
The second item is a renewal of our Active Directory recovery software. Samsiris is the provider for that. We had a 3-year contract that started, I don't have the exact date. We're in year 2 right now, so we're looking to go to the board for a renewal amount of $22,932. And again, that's the second year of a 3-year agreement.
Questions, comments? All right, do I have a motion? Second?
Yeah.
Thank you, Freddie. Maria Bruni,
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert,
Aye.
Roger Higgins,
Aye.
Freddie Garcia,
Aye.
and I vote in the affirmative. The contract is approved.
And the last item is that we had a 5-year agreement with TransCore to maintain the UPSs for the toll system network racks. And that warranty is expiring, so we're looking to renew that warranty on those uninterruptible power supply systems for 1 year. And so we put out an RFQ and received 5 bids. We're recommending the board to go with CompuLink for a total of $16,623.86. They were not the lowest bidder, but they're an MWBE and they're within the 10% requirement.
Okay. Questions, comments? All right, do I have a motion? Thank you, Roger. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Freddie. Maria Bruni,
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert,
Aye.
Roger Higgins, Freddie Garcia,
Aye.
and I vote in the affirmative. The resolution is approved and adopted. Danielle, Command Center.
Great.
Good
Good morning.
morning.
I have just one item today. So we're always looking at different technologies to support our infrastructure protection and risk mitigation. And we found a company called Roving Labs that has early vessel collision detection technology that we'd like to enter into an MOU with to use their technology at no cost pilot to the authority. So the technology uses AIS data that shows the ship's positioning, its travel direction, size and speed, and then makes predictive analysis on whether it's on course or if it may have it may be deviating, as well as like based on the size and speed of the ship, what the risk would be should there be a collision. So something of this nature would allow us to have a lot more time to make decisions such as closing the bridge and help support life safety efforts. So we would look to install this technology at our Newburgh Beacon facility and engage in a 3-5-month test with them, starting in either April or May and running through July, which also aligns with the Salesforce 250 event. So we get some good data from that. So again, this is no cost to us, but it will give us some really good data and help with industry insights into infrastructure protection. So we're hoping to enter into this MOU with them and just looking for approval.
My only request is when you have the results that you come back to the board and brief us on what you've learned.
I'll give you a full presentation.
Good. All right, do I have a motion? Thank you, Roger. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Lanny. Maria Bruni,
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert,
Aye.
Roger Higgins,
Aye.
Freddie Garcia,
Aye.
and I vote in the affirmative. The resolution is approved and adopted. Next up, Jeff.
I didn't make my items. Do we have a quorum vote on the?
Yep.
Yeah, great.
Yep.
Sorry, I was under the understanding it wasn't happening. So I've got 2 invoices from the New York State Thruway Authority. The first is for the month of April 2025 in the amount of $426,730.77. This, we should note, this is for part of the month of April due to when we shut down to transition to the new system. So these costs reflect only about the first half.
Questions, comments? Do I have a motion?
So
Thanks, Freddie. Second?
Second.
Thanks, Lanny. Maria Bruni,
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert,
Aye.
Roger Higgins,
Aye.
Freddie Garcia,
Aye.
and I abstain. The resolution is approved and adopted. Next, Jeff.
thank you. Okay, so this is for May, same invoice from the New York State Thruway Authority for Easy Pass and Cash and Solely, month of May 2025. This is in the amount of $287,558.28. This basically, the contract with Conduent stipulated that for the first 2 months after go live, they wouldn't be invoicing us because we were supposed to be under a hypercare situation. They agreed to that when they signed the contract. So these costs reflect basically postage, pass-through costs, and things like that, not necessarily the effort content to do the work. So this one is significantly lower. June will be similarly low. We did receive that this week. So again, $287,558.20 for May.
Questions, comments from the board? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Roger. Second.
Second.
Thanks, Maria. Maria Bruni.
Aye.
Lanny Gilbert.
Aye.
Roger
Aye.
Higgins. Eddie Garcia.
Aye.
And I abstain. The resolution is approved and adopted. Okay, that concludes our business agenda. Is there any old business or new business that the board members wish to raise at this point in time? Hearing none, and we have no attorney-client privilege sessions and items. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 16th. Do I have a motion to adjourn today's meeting? Thanks, Lanny. Second. Thanks, Roger. All in favor? Aye. All right, everybody. Happy Easter.